We now know at least 10 people have died in the wildfires burning across Los Angeles County. Nearly 400,000 people still under evacuation orders or warnings, and almost 10,000 homes and buildings have burned to the ground. Right now, you're taking a live look at Granada Hills there in that area, and you can see that plume of smoke rising into the air off of that hillside. So now let's take a live look at the latest numbers for the largest of these fires. The Palisades and Eaton fires still at the largest fires, 20,000 and 13,000 acres respectively. You're looking at the destruction left in the wake of the Palisades fire. A total of about 35,000 acres have burned already there. The Kenneth fire also broke out overnight and has grown to 1,000 acres. The good news is that crews have made progress in containing each of the 5 major fires that we are tracking. And many residents in the Los Angeles area returning home to piles of rubble. ABC's Alex Stone is live in Altadena this morning with a closer look at the effort going into containing these fires and more on Survivor Stories. Good morning, Alex.
Good morning, Jordan. And here in Altadena, it is home after home where just everything is gone. There are a couple of chimneys standing, but that's about it. A lot of natural gas is still coming out of pipes, still some of those on fire, but everything else is melted, including the cars that are gone, as firefighters are trying to put out the flames. There are almost no words to describe the devastation in Los Angeles County as the wind-driven fires have spread to another area. Across the county, over 10,000 buildings destroyed and the number of dead rising.
Everything that we know and love is gone. Not just this house, my whole city gone, man. The whole thing, like everything, my whole neighborhood, everything that I grew up to love and know is burnt up.
The Kenneth fire erupting in the San Fernando Valley, forcing evacuations in the West Hills neighborhood.
We are expecting this fire to rapidly spread due to high winds.
All of the major wildfires are in a roughly 25-mile band north of downtown L.A. The Palisades and Eaton fires, the largest, over 9,000 homes, businesses, and other buildings are damaged or destroyed. Early estimates predict $57 billion in damages. The Palisades fire still raging overnight after scorching over 19,000 acres, an area the size of Manhattan. Dozens of blocks flattened to smoldering rubble. Only the outlines of homes remain. Residents in Altadena who came back to inspect what was once their neighborhood, shocked.
As you can see, there's nothing left, and I've been here for about an hour and a half, and I don't want to leave. It's home. So I really can't put it into words.
And Jordan, the winds are finally calming here. In fact, the red flag fire warnings are going to expire later on tonight at around 6 o'clock. But there is another round of Santa Ana winds, could be strong Santa Ana winds coming in on Monday. Firefighters are trying to take advantage of this right now, knowing what's about to come. We're live in Altadena. Alex Stone, ABC 10. Back to you.
All right. Thank you so much, Alex Stone in Altadena. All right, let's take a look at this video out of Altadena. That's where Alex Stone was at just right a couple minutes ago. You just heard from him. This is what was left after the Eaton fire tore through neighborhoods there. And you can just see the destruction there. The neighborhoods just absolutely just reduced to rubble in that area. Terrible, terrible, just, heavy heart, for these people that are losing their homes, as we just heard in that story. Alex Stone was talking to some of the people living in that area and coming back to the place that their homes once stood. Just absolutely horrible. But as he said, there is some good news for the firefight right now in terms of those winds dying down. So let's go ahead and bring in meteorologist Brendan Minchef. Brendan, good news in terms of those fires getting a little bit better in that area?
Yeah, getting a little bit better, but it is quite the firefight that's going on. Here's the look at the map of the active LA County fires. The big ones, at the very least, the Eaton fire up near Altadena, just north of Pasadena, about 14,000 acres, only 3% contained. The Hearst fire north of San Fernando, coming up on 775 acres there, 37% contained. And of course, the Palisades fire, over 20,000 acres burned and only 8% contained still. So even though the winds are coming down, it's still breezy, still causing some issues. And in addition, there's a lot of catch-up that still has to be played with the fires. Again, Palisades only 8% contained right now, still burning out along the PCH in LA County. So back here in Northern California, things are quiet today. Plenty of sunshine, 50s, middle 50s right now, 56 in Sacramento, 56 in Stockton, 55 Modesto, 56 in Vacaville, 55 in Fairfield, 57 in Auburn and Placerville, 34 in Truckee, 42 in South Lake Tahoe. In the Big Mountain backyard, 56 degrees, clear skies, but we are running a little bit cooler than this time yesterday. Yesterday was honestly pretty warm by January standards. We're going to be in those low to mid 60s in the valley today. Plenty of clear skies as well. So again, low to mid 60s for highs. Tomorrow morning, we're going to be in those mid 50s. We're going to have some wind on the way in though, and we'll talk about that coming up a little later in the show. Jordan.
All right, thanks, Brendan. We'll talk to you soon. Continuing in our coverage of the firefight, one key player in the firefight is CAL FIRE's McClellan Air Base. It's been sending critical air resources to Southern California. So the fleet of C-130s, 5 Firehawks, and a few S-2s have been sent to battle the flames there. The fire captain says the need for aerial support grew and crews had to leave really quickly. Since they got there, fire crews have been faced with challenges like strong Santa Ana winds, making precise aerial drops a constant struggle. Despite this, McClellan Air Base continues to play a vital role in this ongoing effort to contain the fires and protect Southern California communities.
The reality is the winds are so dynamic, and at that tipping point, when our resources, air resources were grounded, that changes our strategies and tactics.
I've been doing this for 28 years. It seems like we've been getting busier and busier, and the fire seasons have become longer and longer.
And CAL FIRE says they have not sent all of their air resources to Southern California. They still do have aircraft available if a wildfire were to ignite in the northern part of the state. And on the ground, Sacramento Metro Fire says their crews have been fighting nonstop for over 3 days with no end in sight. Officials say they had to assist with a burning high school, leaving kids without classrooms. The battalion chief says the damage they're reporting is nothing short of apocalyptic. And for continued coverage of the wildfires, head over to ABC 10 Plus, the TV streaming app. There we have live updates, news conferences as they happen. You can download the ABC 10 Plus app wherever you stream. Right now, at least 10 people have died as a result of the fire disaster in Los Angeles. Nearly 400,000 people still under evacuation orders or warnings in Los Angeles County. The Palisades and Eaton fire, the first and second most destructive fires in Southern California history.
It's apocalyptic. It's like someone's dropped a bomb. There's cars burnt out. There's ash everywhere. We were thinking it was going to be bad, but I think we both had no idea how bad it was.
And the flames were fueled by dry conditions and a rare wind event as well. And giving you a live look now at the Eaton fire, we've been bringing you the latest on the wildfires happening in Los Angeles County all week long. And right now, Rob and Brendan are breaking down what conditions contributed to those fires' growth. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Jordan. So yeah, definitely a combination of wind and very dry conditions is what really led to the very high fire danger. It didn't necessarily spark the fires, but definitely is what led to them being able to start and grow.
I think it's really important, as meteorologists, we need to put some perspective on this, because this wasn't any run-of-the-mill dry weather conditions for the vegetation, or, just another windstorm. These were high-end, top-level, if not record-breaking, in both of these categories happening at the same time, and the fires would not nearly have been as bad if the weather at the time did not contribute to how quickly the fire grew and what it ultimately did. So let's go ahead and take you through it.
Yeah, so we'll start with a map of LA County, and you can see where the fires are. The two biggest ones, of course, the Palisades fire out near Pacific Palisades and along Highway 1, and the other fire, the Eaton fire, which we just looked at. Palisades is over 20,000 acres as of last check, and the Eaton fire over 13,000, both under 10% containment there.
I think what's important, too, is remember, you don't judge a fire by the numbers of acres burned. We've had 200,000 acre fires that have only burned a handful of structures. These happen in urban environments, so everything downwind were homes and businesses, and unfortunately, it was the worst place at the worst time.
Yeah, and let's not forget the Sunset Fire, not on this map, that was burning right near the heart of Hollywood just a few days ago.
And I think one of the most concerning things is that we've had a dry start to a season before, but just learned today that in San Diego, right next door, is the literal record driest start to their rainy season that they've ever seen, from the beginning of October to where we are now. No meaningful rain since the end of March, and that's significant. That means that it's just as dry as it is in September and October when we typically fear these types of situations. It's even drier now.
Yeah, which is why we're not worrying about fire danger up here in Northern California, is because we've had the rain. The other thing is we are in the peak of Santa Ana winds season, at least climatologically speaking. December, January, February, the 3 windiest months when it comes to the Santa Anas, and also the months that have the most extreme Santa Ana winds as well.
And I think this is really important because when you take a look at the bottom there, the red, those are the ones that you worry about. But by November, December, January, certainly we've had a storm or two in Southern California. So you don't really hear about these because the effect is not for fire weather. It's for offshore winds and usually very clear, sunny, and warmer weather. But the book was changed. We had a situation in December of 2017. There had been no large fire past October until this happened. It was, at the time, the largest fire in state history, and it happened weeks before Christmas, which had never happened before. It changed the calendar, and now we need to add one more month for potential destruction related to fire.
Yeah, and you can see Palisades and Eaton already climbing the ladder for most destructive fires, unfortunately, and we don't even know the true count just yet of structures burned, of what the acreage is going to be, how much it's going to cost. I mean, but the effect on the ground of the people that live there and have been impacted is very real, regardless if it was one structure burned or 2 or 200.
Exactly, and we're going to learn more about this, but weather-wise, we can look a long range. Long-range forecasting has come a very long way. We are comfortable saying for the next 10 days in Southern California, and likely here, it's looking dry, but even past that, unfortunately, we really don't see much. In fact, you can talk more about the long-range forecast here.
Yeah, and we'll get into it. So let's take a look at the maps, and we'll talk about the long range. We'll talk about what we can see here at home as well. Immediately, right, that 6 to 10-day climate outlook, January 15th through January 19th, looking at very likely drier than average conditions across basically the entire state of California. Leaning a little bit wetter through parts of the deserts right along the Colorado River. Maybe we see some showers there. Better chances for rain as you work your way into Arizona and New Mexico and parts of Texas as well. But certainly much of the West Coast, including Northern California, looking at very likely drier than average conditions through the next week to week and a half. And even beyond that, honestly, I am not tracking any immediate rain chances. Right now, 56 in Sacramento, 56 in Vacaville, 55 in Fairfield, 57 in Elk Grove, 56 Stockton, 55 Modesto, 58 in Jackson, 57 Placerville, 34 in Truckee, 42 in South Lake Tahoe. Sunny skies in the Big Mountain backyard, 56 degrees. That's 4 degrees cooler than where we were at this time yesterday. I only expect us to get into those, and I have to say only because of how warm we were yesterday, but I only expect us to get into those low to mid 60s in the valley. That's still quite a bit above average. The average high is 56. But look at where we were on Thursday. 69 degrees downtown, 69 degrees at Sacramento Executive. That tied the record at Sac Exec. The record for downtown was 70 degrees. So we were basically there. Stockton and Modesto were in the low 70s. So we all ought to be in the low to mid, 60s yesterday. We all ought to be in the low to mid 60s. Today, 63 Sacramento, 65 in Oak Grove, 64 Stockton, 65 Manteca and Tracy, 64 Modesto, 61 in Auburn, 62 in Jackson, 50 in Truckee, and 51 in South Lake Tahoe this afternoon. Temperatures are actually coming down as we go through the next 7 days. The average high 56 like we talked about, and we'll actually be back there by the time we get to about Wednesday and Thursday of the following week. But we're still not looking at any rain chances. We still are going to be dry through the next week or two. We are, however, going to see some winds returning to Northern California as soon as tonight. So while most of us are asleep, mainly west of Interstate 5, we're going to see gusts over 35 miles per hour or so. There is a wind advisory in effect for some of the coastal ranges and the Bay Area as well, but nothing yet in the Sacramento Valley or the San Joaquin Valley. We'll keep an eye on that. Wouldn't surprise me if we end up getting a wind advisory within the next hour or two, but we're kind of teetering on the edge. Regardless, it is going to be windy. It's going to be gusty. Wind gusts about 30 plus across the valley for much of the day on Saturday, and those winds are going to continue into the daytime on Sunday as well. It'll be mainly on Sunday west of I-5, but certainly still could see some gusts in Sacramento, in Elk Grove, upwards of 25 miles per hour. So there's that wind advisory for the Bay Area, but nothing in the Central Valley just yet. We'll keep an eye on that. Again, we're kind of right borderline as to whether we're meeting the wind advisory criteria or not. Temperatures coming down over the next 7 days from above average to very seasonal for the end of next week. But Jordan, we stay dry, no rain in the forecast.
All right, Brendan, thank you. Well, we continue in our coverage of the Los Angeles County wildfires. Thousands of buildings and homes have been destroyed, and ABC's Matt Gutman has the latest on the destruction there.
This morning, those new harrowing images revealing the scale of the damage in Los Angeles.
I don't know how we're going to come back from this. I don't even know where to start.
Across the county, more than 10,000 structures destroyed, and overnight the number of fatalities jumping to 10.
Mars would be more habitable than this place right now, so it's crazy. There's absolutely nothing.
Once densely packed neighborhoods, now smoky wastelands.
Pacific Palisades, right now, could just be taken off the map. There is no Pacific Palisades.
But trickling back into this hellscape were families hoping to salvage an heirloom or a memento.
That is the living room. That's the front entrance. Beyond that, there was a bedroom.
In the rubble of a condo building in Pacific Palisades, we meet Gail and Mario.
Is this your safe?
It is. Wanted to get to it before the looters got to it.
Gail fled with just her nurse scrubs, a phone, and little else.
The documents, passport, things like that?
Nothing.
Are somewhere here.
Yeah, yeah. Everything.
The widow hoping her wedding ring had survived this inferno.
Wow.
Mario pushed the safe off the building, then cracked it open. And for a moment, Gail held her breath.
These your rings?
These are my wedding rings.
There it was, still glittering.
Very cool.
Quickly, police on the hunt for looters came to investigate.
How major of a concern is looting here?
Oh, it's huge. It's huge. And then you have million-dollar homes all intact, rows and rows of them. And there's really no way to police this area effectively right now.
At least 20 people have been arrested for looting, and checkpoints everywhere.
So right now, that young man on the motorcycle, the motorbike, is being pushed away by the officer. He sort of blew through this checkpoint here, and immediately they pounced and chased him.
Susan Campick Tracy and Madeline Dam among the dozens who walked here in the hopes of being escorted back to their homes.
I've been in this since Tuesday. I've got the same socks. It's like everything is the same.
It's almost like at this stage of my life when I thought I was at the end of the marathon, I'm at the beginning of a new marathon, and we have to create everything from scratch.
They got the call, jumped in the car, and off they went. Just a few minutes later,
It's apocalyptic. It's like someone's dropped a bomb. There's cars burnt out. There's ash everywhere. We were thinking it was going to be bad, but I think we both had no idea how bad it was.
like so many grappling with the loss of almost everything.
If I could only have found one thing, this was it. It's the bell that we have at the front of the house, and it came from my husband's childhood home in Somerset, England. And it's damaged, but it's alive.
These satellite images showing the immense size and scope of the devastation. Where there were once sprawling communities, now a wasteland surrounded by areas splattered in red fire retardant. This picturesque coastline obliterated, haze obscuring the scene below. Of course, the greatest loss, human lives. The New York Times reporting 82-year-old Rodney Nickerson and retired pharmacy technician Erlene Kelly were among the dead. And 66-year-old Victor Shaw.
And I opened the front door and I just yelled in, "Victor, we got to get out. This is it. We have to get out. The fire's here." And I didn't hear him say anything. I heard him say nothing. So I ran to the car and I just got out. I just got out and I went down the street and there was a police car and I flagged him and I said, "My brother's in the house. I need help." And he told me to get out. He said, "Go."
His family later finding his body with a garden hose in his hand.
And I couldn't be here. I couldn't be here to save him. I couldn't be here. That's what hurts the most.
And for continued coverage of the wildfires, you can head over to the ABC 10 Plus TV streaming app. We'll have live updates and news conferences as they happen there.